Oh, likewise,
Like, no, I'm just recording it.
likewise here. Likewise here. Today,
Oh,
I think Delhi and NCR just seems to be uh, blessed with rains.
yeah.
Uh, of course, causing mayhem on the roads, I'm sure, with the traffic.
Yes, ma'am.
But incidentally, we are on Chutti today at Noida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because every year the DM is very generous. So he gives us chutti because of the Kawadiyas. Thankfully,
Oh,
it's only one chutti this year. Last year we had 3 days off, and that
oh,
was really, yeah. I mean, imagine.
imagine. Actually,
Okay, yeah. So, okay, over to the two of you. Uh, since this is my first time meeting you both
I,
up so closely, so if you have time, I would love to know a little about the two of you, and then we can get on to the conversation.
absolutely, ma'am. We were actually thinking about your time, given that you will be really busy. And but thank you
So
for taking this time.
as I told you, I'm at home today, so
Yes.
I have all the time.
Right. Sure, ma'am. You want to start the pickup?
Yeah. So, ma'am, I'm Deepika. I'm the teaching and learning lead for primary years. And I joined Shinada School 13 years back in 2012. And
Oh, wow, you're a founding teacher, Baba. You should say that first.
yes, so I'm a founding teacher as well. And I've taught grades from early years to primary. I've taught almost all grades. I started teaching in kindergarten and moved upwards gradually. And
Oh, wow.
so,
What a journey. So I think you should be answering the questions, not me.
and definitely I worked with Deepak ma'am as well. And we surely miss her now in PY, definitely. She's
Yeah,
an amazing educator and person.
yeah.
And
Pardon the noise in the background because I'm at home. So while everyone is trying to be quiet, but you know how it is, right?
there's been a lot of learning in the journey throughout. I got a lot of opportunities to be the subject spoke and then the ear lead as well. And, being a part of the teaching and learning team. And definitely going through various courses and learning a lot. So it's been an interesting journey for me, and I'm continuing learning. That's our
Lovely,
main agenda.
lovely to meet you, Deepika.
Sure, ma'am. Same here.
Ma'am, I started my journey with Shivnada School, I think 8 years back. This is my eighth year. So, I wasn't an educator, unlike Deepika. So, I'm actually a biomedical engineer by education. So, I
Oh,
made this
wow.
switch. Yes, ma'am. So, I made this switch because after I had my child, I realized that I wanted to be around her, and my job involved a lot of travel, and I couldn't just allow her to be on her own, and my husband traveled a lot too, so it was a conscious choice. It took me time to move to what I wanted to do, but I really love the space I'm in. So I'm now the teaching and learning lead for early years, and I've taught nursery and kindergarten for a long time before moving into this role 4 years back. And I think that's when we transitioned together into this role. So we pretty much worked in close collaboration, EY and PY, in terms of developing PDQ, in terms of delivering trainings, mentoring, doing the course together. So even the previous PDQ, we did it together. Even this PDQ course, we are doing it together. So
We are
yeah.
buddies for life.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
can say
Buddies
that,
for
ma'am.
life, education, and beyond. Yes, ma'am.
Great, lovely. So I don't know if you know, but I started my journey with Shivnada School in 2014. So I've completed 11 years. And the interesting bit about my journey is Monica ma'am was the first one to interview me for the post of an English language teacher. But because I live in Delhi, Gurgaon obviously doesn't work for me. live, I live in South Delhi, so I'm closer to Noida in comparison to Gurgaon. While I know there are quite a few teachers who are coming from Delhi to Gurgaon, but for me, Noida was closer, and that's how I landed up in Noida. Uh, and yeah, the journeys. Yeah, I mean, there's no looking back after that. I think uh, yeah, I've just been here, and like I like to share, I've grown literally and metaphorically with the school. So I've seen. So when I joined, we used to only have the junior building, which houses the EYPY, and the middle building, which had the middle school, because the senior most class at that time was only grade 8. So I've actually seen the transitioning of the admin block coming up. I've seen the senior school come up, and so yeah. So I've literally and metaphorically grown with the school, is what I would say. And here I am.
Wonderful, ma'am. It kind of, your answer actually just leads us into the first question we wanted to ask you. You had told us about you've sort of told us how you've grown in the school. So you must have
Yeah.
also had multiple opportunities to serve as a leader in so many different positions in the
So yeah,
organization.
I mean, so you girls sent me the questions before, and when I was going through the questions,
Yes,
the
ma'am.
first question
Yes, ma'am.
uh, really got me thinking, because it is a fact. I mean, I got many opportunities, and I'm glad for that, um, where I could understand the nuances of leadership, and I think those opportunities also somewhere changed my own understanding of what or who a leader should be. So to begin with, I'll briefly share the different roles that I have played, the different caps that I have donned. So I started off with the student council. I remember 2015 was the first student council. So at that time, we used to have in the student council, we had a post which said the cultural captains. Their role was primarily to ensure that the inter-school events, well, there were not many inter-school events, but the intra-school events happened successfully. So I was the cultural I don't know what is we used to call them. I was their mentor. I think it was called the cultural minister or something like that. Then from there, I went on to become the activity in charge. Of course, first and foremost, you are the homeroom in charge. I was the homeroom in charge for grade 8, and I continued with them till they reached grade 11 as their homeroom in charge.
Oh, same that.
Additionally, yeah, that's why I say I've literally and metaphorically grown with the school. From cultural this thing, I became the activity in charge, which included the clubs also. Streamlining how
Yes,
the
yes,
club's
ma'am.
happening, what is the attendance, all that. Then I moved on to mm, become the form coordinator. Then from the form coordinator, we changed it to program leader,
Hmm.
the designation. So I was the program leader for grade 10. Which I think is now comparable to an year lead.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, yes.
And then from the program leader, I became the deputy head senior years. And from deputy head senior years, I jumped straight into vice principal.
Hmm.
So the head position somewhere got lost because COVID happened. So there was no scope for me to jump into the head position. And then I was the vice principal, and then, and then the principal. And in between this, during the COVID years, I led every school had created an emergency response team. So
Yes.
I led the emergency response team at Noida.
Okay.
So, I mean, I've seen the staff and the parents up
Mm-hmm.
close and co.
Okay. So, ma'am,
So, yeah, these are the different roles I played.
yeah. Yes, ma'am. So many different, different teams you've managed, and even the team sizes must have been very different. So, is there any one approach or philosophy that you usually fall back on because it worked for you in the past and you try to.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what, Sana, my style of leadership has also evolved over the years as I played these different roles.
Mm.
Because what worked in one role necessarily did not work in the other role. Like when I was the mentor to the student council, I was dealing with students, right?
Mm.
So how I was guiding them or how I was empowering them, the whole approach and the whole this thing was different.
Mm.
When I was in the homeroom as a homeroom in charge, I was dealing with parents also. While
Mm.
I was dealing with the students, but I was dealing with the, sorry, I was dealing with the parents also. And dealing with the parents requires a very different kind of approach. I mean, I don't have to say it, both of you know. Some parents are uh, some parents can get very difficult and adamant about a particular thing, while other parents are very collaborative and supportive at the same time. So, at the same time, when I was the HRI, I was also mentoring the student council. So, at
Mm.
that same time, I was applying two different approaches.
Mm.
So yes, to answer the specific question,
Mm.
I think what um, I think what has always worked for me is um, keeping empathy at the center. And when I say keeping empathy at the center, what I mean by it is that well-being of every member of the team, irrespective who the member is, whether it is the teachers, it is the staff, parents, students, uh, whatever the team may have. So keeping their well-being at the center of your approach and understanding has worked for me. Um, and like, I mean, you know this that this is what servant leadership is all about, right? Keeping the well-being at the center and at the same time trying to empower everyone, being collaborative. So I think the servant leadership always works uh, because at the center of servant leadership is empathy.
Mm.
It
Okay.
always works.
Okay. Okay.
So, ma'am, when we talk about your idea of leadership, your approach that you've kept empathy and empowering everyone and collaboration at the center, how does it fits into your role as a principal? And at the same time, how do you align it to the overall vision and the context of SNS as an organization when you see it?
So I think, okay, I think in context to SNS, so SNS is a school that thrives on a culture where everyone on the campus feels supported, valued, and has the opportunity to grow, right? Whether it is the student or the team. And I think servant leadership is very applicable in that context to SNS because empathy is at the heart of SNS. And more importantly, I think along with servant leadership, what really matters in the SNS context is the fact that we keep the child at the center of everything that we do. So, which leads to, uh, I would say, instructional leadership also, because we are all the time striving to uh, improve ourselves as far as instructional leadership is concerned. The teaching and learning, we keep raising the bar. That's what we strive to do. So I think servant leadership and instructional leadership is at the core of SNS context.
Right, ma'am. So, is there any one thing now that you've told us about, it being very centered around instructional and servant leadership? How is it that you transact this to the rest of the team members? I mean, how do you trickle it down to your immediate reportees, and how does it follow through to the rest of the staff?
So if I talk of the servant leadership, there are very small things that you need. I mean, I feel that one needs to do. Um, Walking into each other's workspace, sitting there, having a cup of coffee, catching up on how things are happening, how the day is going. Uh, if sometimes what happens is there is somebody in the family who is sick and the teacher has taken chutti. So
Hmm.
just dropping a message that I hope all is well. Do you need any support? Being present is what I would put it in one
Hmm.
uh, word, being present, and along with being present, being an active listener. Whatever anyone is sharing, I think uh, listening to that actively without jumping into uh, finding solutions,
Hmm.
right? Because sometimes I think as teachers, we are wired uh, to find a solution.
Right.
Uh, with my direct reportees, I think what works is the fact that we have weekly meetings. We have our weekly meetings, but in addition to that, what we have in school is a weekly lunch.
Hmm.
So every Tuesday we meet over lunch, and some Tuesdays we don't even have an agenda. We're
Hmm.
just having lunch together. That's it. uh, Walking into the cafeteria, just sitting down to have lunch, either with the team, some team member that you find in the cafeteria, or for that matter, even with the students.
Hmm.
Many a times I've walked into the cafeteria and the primary years are having lunch, so I just pick a table and I sit there. And of course, I talk to the children, and then I get asked questions as to what is my job. I'm the principal, everyone knows, but what do I do the whole day? And then they've also asked me questions like, why is it that we only get one flavor of ice cream? Why don't we get a strawberry and a chocolate and a different flavors? And trust me when I say this, some of these questions are very difficult to answer, and there are times when I don't have answers to these questions.
I can understand
Uh,
that because we direct it to the principal sometimes as HRIs. We would say, why don't you go ask the principal? At least we have somebody to pass it on to, but you will have to
yeah,
answer it.
yeah, and I think what was the second part of the question? You had asked me something else also.
Yes, ma'am. I was
One, you
just
had asked.
yeah. How do you transact it down to the rest of the team? Your alignment
Yeah.
with
So, just to add to, so this is about servant leadership.
yes.
About the instructional leadership, how do I keep a watch on that is formal and informal observations sometimes. Just walking into the classroom or mm, uh, walking into the classroom, or at times just walking into the hubs, the confluences, just sitting there having a cup of coffee, asking everyone, okay, what's happening? How is it going? Where can I support you and how can I support you? So these are the things that help me pass down without saying and without making it a top-down approach, pass down these to the larger team, these leadership nuances to the larger team. And I think it becomes the walk the talk.
Hmm.
Uh, and yeah, I think I've answered the question. Have
Yes,
I?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
what we can actually see from whatever we have gathered, ma'am, you build a kind of trust with your
Yes.
team. It's enabled a lot of trust in the team, which is very important. And that's the part of the question which you've also answered. But apart from trust, have you ever faced a challenging situation, maybe with parents you are witnessing, maybe with educators who are you working with, or your direct reportees? And what are those situations, if you can share an example, and what is that particular strategy that it really helps you out in
So,
these situations?
so I think leadership is all about challenges. It's not about a title or a particular designation. I think leadership is about working with challenges and being a problem solver while you continue to empower and collaborate and build trust. I think that's what you do as a leader. And leadership is also about managing people, right? I mean, you're dealing with people. So there was when I had joined uh, Shivnada's school very recently, and I was still quite new. There was this one sentence that Mrs. Banerjee used in one of the meetings or conversations, and she said, "School is like a live wire." At that moment, I did not understand it, Deepika and Sadhana. And to be very honest, as I have grown through the years, as I have aged through the years, I think I understand it more because it is like a live wire, because school is like a live wire because you're dealing with so many people. And when you're dealing with people, you're talking about emotions. And emotions are, I mean, they can fluctuate, right? Sorry. They can fluctuate, they change through the day. So if you're not careful or if you're not aware of the emotion that you're dealing with, I think you can get a shock. So coming to challenging, I think the most challenging period or the most challenging uh, situation that I have witnessed is the COVID. When I was leading the emergency response team, because it was not just about uh, checking on which team member uh, is sick or whose family member is sick. It was also about dealing with most of the critical patients also. You know that we lost some of our teachers to COVID. So for me, I think that was the most challenging moment because there was a sense of helplessness and there was a sense of accountability and responsibility that I felt that I have, as the leader of the emergency response team, I have to respond, I have to find a solution, and I have to give support to this team member. But I have to thank the team members, the emergency response team members, for being there always. And I think what really helped me deal with that situation was a calm mind, trying to understand what the situation is, um, seek support from the larger team. That okay, when I say seek support, what I mean is that okay, this is the problem. What do we do, or how do we support, or how do we uh, find a solution to this problem? I remember one of our teachers was very, very unwell, and she refused to go to the hospital because she had this fear that if I go to the hospital, I will not come back. Because that's how it was happening at one point in time, that people who went to the hospital still didn't get the medical aid. So what do I mean, it was really difficult for me to decide, do I listen to her or do I pick her up and get her to the hospital? What do we do? So, of course, with the ERT, the emergency response team, we sat, the three, four of us sat together, we thought about it. We did a bit of a pros and the cons, and we took her to the hospital. We sent the school ambulance in those body suits they had. I'm forgetting what they were called. They bore those and they literally picked her up and took her to the hospital. Uh, that's a separate matter that we eventually lost her to COVID. But yeah, so I think what works in a challenging situation is a calm mind, um, a practical approach, uh, a practical but a structured approach. That what should be step one, step two, step, because emergency response, every situation has a different requirement. So a structured but a practical approach, um, keeping empathy at the center. You cannot forget empathy. when you're trying to be pragmatic or practical, you cannot let go of empathy. Empathy has to be there throughout. I mean, it's empathy is a given. So keeping a calm mind, a structured and practical approach, um, a practical approach with the mindset of problem solving
Mm.
and collaborative.
Mm.
Never taking a decision on your own. Uh, why never taking a decision on your own, even though the accountability is entirely yours? Because sometimes there is a perspective that you as an individual might be missing out on,
Mm.
which others
Yes.
can bring in, something that you've not thought about. So I think a collaborative approach at the same time is very, very important. And of course, depending on the situation, if there is data, then that just adds to the value of the decision.
Mm. So, ma'am,
I
when
hope
you,
that
when
answers.
you were just telling us about this emergency response team and that you had a set of people along with you with whom you collaborate and then you decide together and only then roll out decisions. So, like, how is it that you have decided as a leader that this is how I will choose my team or this is how I will delegate responsibility to them? So, what is it that made you make these decisions, ma'am? Like, how did that
So
happen?
I think there are two ways of delegating responsibility that I believe in. One is harnessing the strength of the individual because every individual has some strength. Uh, so harnessing the strength, and the other is keeping faith in that individual. And sometimes
Mm.
I feel, when you throw an individual in the deep end, you also help the individual discover their own strength.
Mm.
So, I mean, I'll give you an example. So I look up to Mrs. Banerjee as my mentor. And this is something Mrs. Banerjee, I think, did very consciously with me. When she made me in charge, she made me the lead or the in charge for the emergency response team. I think she threw me in the deepest end possible.
Mm.
Because as a emergency response team leader, I had no idea what is it that I'm supposed to do if an emergency arises because of COVID. I cannot step out of the house. So
Mm.
how do I do whatever I have to do?
Yeah.
So I think by making me the team lead there, she demonstrated two things. One, her faith in my abilities and capabilities, that whatever the situation may be, Anju will deal with it. Two, she probably helped me discover some of my own areas of strength, which probably I was not aware of consciously.
Mm.
So these are some of the things I think help in that uh, challenging decision making or challenging
Situations.
situation.
So, ma'am, just one more small question with respect to just the same thing. You were saying that you look at Shashi ma'am as your mentor and you look to her for, and she had thrown you into the deep end literally over here. So, are there any qualities that you saw in her as a mentor while you were a mentee and something you take forward from her as a mentor now when you are trusting
Mentoring
your
and trusting your team.
team?
Okay, so Shashi ma'am and I are like two extreme sides of the pole, right?
Hmm.
However, uh, there is a lot that I've learned from her, and I think I uh, try and follow that. Uh, when I say that, sometimes if there is a challenging situation, what I do is I sit back for a bit and I think in my mind, okay, I know that this is what I should be doing, but if Mrs. Banerjee was here, what would she do?
Hmm.
So I try and think like her.
Hmm.
Uh, what are those qualities that I see in her? I think empathy for her, everything. I mean, for her, empathy is at the center of everything. Um, um, when I say empathy, So, in a school, sometimes there are challenging situations with students also. Uh, and Mrs. Banerjee never believed in punitive consequences. She always believed in reformative consequences. Because why reformative consequences? Because that is in the best interest of the child. Giving a child a punitive consequence and saying कि ठीक है तुम कल से school नहीं आओगे is the easy way out. Why am I here? I am here to make the child a better human being. So if as a educator, I'm going to take the easy way out, how is the child going to become a better human being? So empathy, what is in the best interest of the child? She would always keep the child at the center. Always a very, very calm mind. So I think these are some of the three. I mean, I'm sure you've seen Shashi ma'am, and she is a persona of calmness, not a calm mind. She's a persona of calmness. She walks into the room, and whatever the nervous and energy in that room is, it just disappears. I'm not like her. Just give me a second, girls. I need to take this call. Just a second.
Sure, no problem. No, it's not working.
Sorry, girls. So I think calmness, uh, empathy. Yeah, I think these are the two biggest. I mean, she has many other qualities, but these are the two biggest qualities that I try and bring into whatever I do.
Ma'am, because there's 7 minutes left to this meeting, so if we can log out and
Oh.
join back, will that be okay?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, thanks for your time, ma'am. We'll just take about 7 minutes and join back on the same link.
No worry, no worry.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. We'll just see you. Why can't I end it now?